My name is Margaret Hale, and I learned something cruel at my son's wedding. Humiliation doesn't need violence. Sometimes it only needs witnesses. The venue was a vineyard outside town, white lights wrapped around old oak trees, soft music drifting through the evening air. I had spent months helping with preparations, writing checks, folding invitations, even sewing table runners late into the night when sleep wouldn't come. I told myself that's what mothers do. We give quietly. I wore a deep emerald dress, simple but elegant. It belonged to my mother. She had worn it to my own wedding decades earlier. I wanted to feel close to her that day. I wanted to feel like I still belonged. When I arrived, my son Daniel barely met my eyes. His wife, Claire, leaned in and whispered something sharp into his ear. I recognized the look that crossed his face, tension mixed with guilt. He walked toward me, jaw tight. "Mom," he said quietly, "Claire thinks your dress is too much." I laughed softly, certain I misheard. "Too much? She says it draws attention. It's her day." I swallowed the sting. "I brought another dress in the car." "No," he snapped. "She wants you to leave." The word landed harder than any slap. Around us, laughter and clinking glasses continued, unaware that something sacred was breaking. "You want me to leave my own son's wedding?" I asked. "You're upsetting her," he said louder now. Heads turned. Silence spread like spilled wine. Then he said it, clear, final, and unforgettable. "Get out, Mom. Claire doesn't want you here." I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I picked up my purse and walked away while 200 guests pretended not to see me disappear. At home, I removed the emerald dress carefully, folded it, and placed it back in the closet like a memory I wasn't allowed to touch anymore. Around my neck hung the keys, old brass, heavy with history. My late husband had left them to me with a warning I hadn't understood at the time. That night, my phone rang. Daniel's name lit the screen. I didn't answer, because deep down I knew the wedding wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning of a war I never asked for. The next morning, when Daniel finally spoke, he didn't apologize. He asked for the keys. Daniel came to the ranch 2 days later, not alone. Claire stayed in the car, sunglasses on, phone in hand, as if the land itself offended her. "We need to talk," he said, standing where his father once stood. I poured coffee the same way I had when Daniel was a boy. Muscle memory is stubborn like that. "Claire and I have been thinking. The ranch is inefficient." I smiled. That word again. "It's a home, Daniel." "It can be more," he insisted. "Events, weddings, a venue. Claire already spoke to an architect." There it was, the real reason. "You want the keys," I said calmly. He nodded. "Just temporarily, for renovations." Those keys had been placed in my hands by a dying man who knew people change when promises collide with ambition. Legally, Daniel owned half the property, but control, the authority, had been entrusted to me for a reason. "No," I said. His face hardened. "You're being unreasonable. You threw me out of your wedding. That was different." "No," I replied. "It was practice." Silence followed. That night, Claire texted me, asking to meet as women. Against my better judgment, I agreed. She smiled over lunch, spoke gently, praised my strength, then suggested I move into an apartment. "At your age, you deserve ease." She offered partnership, profit, control. But when she mentioned the keys again, her voice sharpened. "I won't give them to you," I said. Her smile vanished. "Then you're forcing Daniel to choose." "No," I answered. "You already did." When I returned home, something was missing from my husband's study. a yellow envelope, one he told me to open only if someone tried to take what was ours. That night, I didn't sleep because I understood then this wasn't about business, it was about removing me. The next morning, a lawyer arrived at my door and confirmed my worst fear. The lawyer's name was Mr. Alvarez, a family attorney who had known my husband for decades. His face was grave when he spoke. "Claire contacted my office," he said. "She asked about contesting your authority." That afternoon, I secured medical evaluations, documents, safeguards, because when people want property, they often attack credibility first. 3 weeks later, Daniel returned, this time with lawyers. They spoke of asset division, declining value, my emotional attachment. Claire sat silently, hand resting on her stomach. "I'm pregnant," she announced. The room tilted. Daniel looked at me like a stranger. "This is about our child." I nodded slowly. "Then teach him truth, not greed." The lawyers threatened court, implied incompetence, suggested guardianship. Daniel shouted, "Give me the keys." I removed them from my neck, but instead of handing them over, I pressed them to my chest. "These keys aren't your future," I said. "They're your responsibility, and you're not ready." His voice went cold. "Then I don't have a mother." The door slammed behind them. I cried that night, not for the ranch, but for the boy I no longer recognized. But time has a way of exposing intentions, and Claire's plans unraveled faster than she expected. 2 years passed. The lawsuit stalled. Claire left Daniel when the money didn't come. She found someone richer, someone easier. Daniel lost everything: his marriage, his job, his pride. One winter morning, he stood at my door, thin, broken. "I was wrong," he whispered. I didn't ask questions. I hugged him. We worked the land together again, quietly, slowly. 5 years later, my grandson runs through the same fields. Daniel is sober, healing, learning. The keys still hang around my neck, not as power, but as trust, because I learned something painful and true. Love doesn't mean surrender. Family doesn't excuse betrayal, and dignity is not something you inherit, it's something you protect. If you had been forced to choose between love and self-respect, what would you have done? Healing doesn't arrive loudly. It comes in small, almost invisible moments. A shared cup of coffee, a repaired fence, a silence that no longer hurts. Daniel stayed on the ranch longer than planned. At first, he slept in the old guest room, avoiding my eyes, speaking only when necessary. Shame sat on him heavier than any labor. I didn't push. I had learned that forcing forgiveness only teaches people to fake it. One evening, while we were fixing a broken gate, he finally spoke. "I don't know who I became," he said, tightening a bolt too hard. "I let someone tell me you were the enemy." I wiped my hands on a cloth. "You didn't become someone else, Daniel. You became someone afraid." He nodded slowly. "I thought if I didn't choose her, I'd lose everything." "And what did choosing her cost you?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Weeks passed. He found work at a nearby repair shop. Honest work, hard work. He came home tired, dirty, but calmer. The ranch has a way of reminding people who they are when no one is watching. One afternoon, he brought something to me, an envelope. Inside was a copy of the lawsuit withdrawal papers. "I ended it," he said, "all of it." I looked at him carefully. "Not for me." "For me," he replied. "I don't want to fight anymore." That night, I slept better than I had in years. But peace has a strange habit of being tested. A month later, Claire showed up unannounced. She arrived in a black SUV, sunglasses hiding her eyes, confidence still clinging to her like perfume. She stepped onto the porch as if she owned it. "I heard Daniel is back," she said coolly. "He's home," I replied. "There's a difference." She crossed her arms. "We need to talk about our son." There it was, not reconciliation, not regret, leverage. She wanted access, influence, a future claim. "You don't get to disappear and return only when it benefits you," I said. Her jaw tightened. "He's my child. And this," I gestured around us, "is his history. You tried to erase it." She leaned closer. "Don't mistake temporary victory for power, Margaret." I smiled, not cruelly, not proudly, calmly. "I don't need power. I already won by keeping my life intact." She left without another word. That night, Daniel sat beside me on the porch. "She came to see you," he said. "Yes," he swallowed. "I'm afraid I'll fail again." I placed my hand over his. Failure isn't falling, it's refusing to stand back up. The keys rested against my chest, lighter than before, because for the first time, I wasn't guarding a door against thieves. I was waiting to see if my son would one day be strong enough to walk through it on his own. But the true test didn't come from Claire. It came when I realized the keys might not belong to me forever.